All right, y'all. I want to welcome you back to the Purpose University podcast. I am your host, Dr. Eve. I am thrilled today. I have a guest that has been an amazing, amazing person in my life. And I want to say maybe, 9 years now.
Yes.
It's been a minute, right? Okay, Sans. But this is Tekita Bankhead, who is the creator and editor-in-chief of the Pedestal project. Tekita, what's up?
Hi, thank you so much. First of all, thank you, Dr. Eve, for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here. I've followed the podcast and you. Been a huge supporter of everything that you're doing. So I'm really excited that the stars have aligned and now that we're here together. So thank you again for having me.
Oh, gosh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to come onto the show because I know you've been taking off, girlfriend, with this Pedestal project.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really proud of you. Like, I am so proud of you. This is really big.
It's been crazy. You know, it started as something, I wouldn't necessarily say that it was going to be a hobby, but it started off as something that was very personal. But it has been like mind-blowing. I know I've sent you messages like, oh my gosh, so many people are reading, like I wasn't expecting that. And it's been so rewarding and just so heartwarming for people to connect with it and really just kind of find something in it that speaks to them too. So it's been truly a labor of love for sure.
So let's talk about how you even got to this labor of love. Like, tell us who you are. Like, what do you do? Like, who is Tekita Bankhead?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I'll, just in my day job, I am a registered nurse, and I work at the University of Illinois here and at the counseling center. So my title, although it's kind of general, my title is specialist in education, but I do a lot of work around alcohol and other drugs. And so from my 9 to 5, what I'm doing is talking to people, mostly college students, about harm reduction and making sure that they are aware of how to safely use or abstain from any drugs or substances. So after 5 and outside of work, I am just unapologetically Black. I love everything about it. And I would say, I think being at Illinois honestly had a huge role in shaping that for me. My first job when I came here, I worked in our African American Cultural Center. And so I was the assistant director there for 2 years. And I think that was a place where not only was I helping other students kind of come to terms with what their Blackness was, I think it was definitely an eye-opener for me too. And so basically kind of going into that, it helped me unlock a lot of other areas about my identity that I didn't realize that I was really, really passionate about. And so outside of that, I do a lot of work around just Black women, advocating for Black women in a variety of different ways. I focus a lot on mental health and just coping and effective coping. And that ties a lot of my nursing plus the counseling piece plus the Blackness piece all together. So anything that helps Black women be their best selves is what I'm typically more drawn to. Outside of that, I'm a huge Brandy fan. Most people who know me, they can definitely say that about me. I'm a huge Brandy fan. I love reading. I love like writing, just about anything that's artsy, crafts, you know, I love all of that kind of thing. And I also love to travel, and I am known to take a solo trip.
Okay.
At a moment's notice. So any of my friends will tell you Tekita does not mind hopping on the road alone. So yeah, kind of a random all of about me.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's interesting because before I was married, I was that kind of person too. Like, I'm going somewhere, I'm going. Catch you later. I mean, that's really bold, especially as a woman, to just say, look, I'm going, I ain't scared. Tell us a little bit more about the Pedestal project, because that's the thing. And I just really know more about it. So how did you get to it? What was that moment for you that you were like, oh, this is it?
So the Pedestal project was an idea that was born out of an experience that I had. Here it was probably in like October. So now we're in March. So this happened maybe like October of last year. I was coming out of I'm doing air quotes for relationship. I wouldn't necessarily even call it that looking back, but I was coming out of a situation that way. And it had been going on for almost 10 years. And it was one of those final moments where it was like, no, really, this is not going to work. No matter how many times you revisit it, no matter how many times you think, no, he might be the one. one, like there's a reason. There were no more what ifs anymore. So what I realized is that after I finally was able to let that situation go, well, what made me kind of let it go is this person stood me up for my birthday.
Oh, wow.
So it was definitely an eye-opening situation to just say, like, you know, no matter what you want to believe, this is the reality. And this is what this situation is or is not. So started going back to counseling. I'm a huge supporter of counseling, but I will also own that when my schedule gets a little too busy, sometimes I don't keep up my appointments. And I think I had gotten to the point where I was like, okay, something is off. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like my normal. And so I started going to counseling. Now I do right now I do the counseling that they offer on campus for faculty, staff, because I think ours is pretty good. So I usually will go there. But sometimes the downside of that is you get an intern, and not to say that interns are any less qualified, but you could tell that they're kind of learning with you. For where I was, I didn't have as much patience as I thought I would have for an intern. Also having a counseling background, I go in and I'm like, look, this is what I need and this is what I don't need. I'm very specific about what I need from my therapist. And so she and I had gotten to like my third session, and I just was talking about all these different challenges that I was having at work. You know, I had just started this new position. I had all these things going on, and I just talked about all these different areas in my life where I felt like I had to prove something, or I felt like I had to level up in a sense. She kind of stopped me and she said, you know, have you ever thought about the fact that you put everyone and every situation in your life on a pedestal except for yourself?
Ooh.
And right?
Oh, okay.
Right.
You talking now. Okay.
Right. And so that literally shook me. It just shook me to my core, because I had never thought about it in that way. Of course, you know, especially if you work in the helping profession, which all of my career path have been in the helping profession, that feels natural to put people before you and to say, you know, I'm here to serve, you know, I'm here to lead and to, you know, for the greater good. I had never thought about it in that perspective, is that everybody else, I was lifting everyone else up based on all of these different preconceived notions I had in my head, and I had never once applied that to my own life. So I ended up, I just had to chew on that for a little while. And so I talked to all of my friends and I was like, let me tell you what my counselor told me. Like, she told me that, you know, I had this pedestal complex, and every single one of my friends is like, yeah, that is absolutely true. You absolutely do that. I don't understand why you just now real. And I'm like, really? Like, why y'all didn't tell me? Like, you know, so, which I'm sure they probably had been telling me and I just hadn't listened.
Right.
You know, so I'm sure that was probably what it was. And so also at the time I was working with a close friend of mine, and we were thinking about doing like a blog together. But the more I played around with this idea, I had a conversation with her and I said, you know, I think this is something that I need to do. Like I'm feeling led to do something that's more personal to this experience, because if I feel like I'm putting everyone else on a pedestal, I know at least 10 Black women off the top of my head that are doing the same thing. And so that was basically where the idea was born. So I said, oh, it'll just be a blog. I'll kind of write about my experiences. But then I thought about, you know, the actual literal concept of a pedestal, and what does that mean to recognize, to uplift, to restore and to affirm Black women. And so what I decided to do was to build a site around uplifting Black women through restoration, validation, and affirmation. And just so that, you know, Black women could go to a place to say, you know, I have had a situation like this, but here's where I can see women who look like me and recognize that there are people with similar gifts and similar talents, people who can support me and lead me to my own pedestal. And so it's almost kind of, I took it on as a mission to reclaim the concept of the pedestal, because I think when you think about a pedestal, a lot of times people think about, you know, raising people to these unrealistic standards, or to these standards where you don't make mistakes. And so I wanted to present it in a way that is a way of absolutely exalting the Black women, but still keeping her human. And still making sure that we say, like, hey, you know, I do have moments where I don't have it all together, but that doesn't make me any less wonderful. And I think that those are the types of stories and the types of experiences that I like to display. And so thus, in February, I pulled everything together and Pedestal project launched, and it's had a phenomenal response. So I'm super excited to see where it goes.
Nice. I think a lot of us who are following you are looking forward to where it goes too, because it's really catchy. I remember when you mentioned something to me about it, I was like, wait a minute, hold up, because it's one of those things where you even bring together that community of Black women to say, sister, I see you. And I have a friend, her name is Ebony Johnson. She's actually a soror as well. She does event planning. And one of her things is always, we work well when we work together. We don't have to work against each other. Let's help each other out. And so to even see this project that you're working on manifest in that same way, I'm like, Black women, we get it. It's not that we can't get along, we can't work together, we can't celebrate each other, because I think that's a negative stereotype that's often out there, that, there's cattiness and there's pettiness and there's drama, and it is. But leave it to reality TV, you make it think that we can't be friends, right? But we can be. So I really love that. And I'll tell you also that it inspired me, because really seriously, over the past year or two, probably closer to 2, I have been going through this shift of identity. Mm-hmm. And one of those shifts has been stepping into myself, not just as a woman, but as a Black woman. Because for a while, people, I would identify as Black first, or Black, and not even acknowledge the woman part of who I am, because I'm just a person. I'm as smart, I'm as strong. I recognize I'm a woman, but that wasn't a big deal. But I'll tell you what happened to me. I transitioned into entrepreneurship. And that's when I realized the world did look at me different. Because before, I didn't really notice it, that, I'm a Black woman. But when it's time to even do stuff like market yourself or have events, network, it started to become real with me that I was like, I'm a Black woman. And not just that, I'm a married Black woman. And so I forgot to put myself on the pedestal.
Right.
And while I would see other Black women do great things and want to celebrate them, similar to yourself. So look, I'm probably in one of them 10, right? Mm-hmm. But while I was, celebrating other Black women, I wasn't giving myself credit for some of the things that I was doing as well. So to hear this and see this, it's refreshing. It's definitely refreshing to be a part of a space and to see a community grow where Black women can finally breathe again and to be highlighted. So I love that. But I would also go on to think this. Would you say that with what you're doing, that you are finally your most authentic self?
I think I probably am the most authentic that I've ever been, but I still think there's more for me to gain. And what I mean by that is that I feel like I'm beginning to move into this space of this optimal authenticity.
Optimal authenticity. Go ahead now. I'm smart.
Yeah, no, I really think so, because I think this is one of the first things that I've been able to do that is completely separate from my job. So I tell people what I do just because, that does kind of matter for the context of some of the topics that I talk about. But this is something that is completely me. And not necessarily something that I'm doing for professional advancement or anything like that. It's solely because I feel like this is a part of the voice that God has given me. It's something that I feel like is tied to my purpose. The reason I say that I think I'm on the way is because I think that more parts of my purpose will begin to unfold. And so I think as those parts begin to become clearer to me, I think I'll probably start to unlock more areas of authenticity. So I think I'm definitely the most authentic that I've ever been. I'm absolutely the most comfortable with myself that I've ever been in my life. And that's such a freeing place to be. And I think part of it is just because writing is my release. So the fact that I've committed myself to doing something regularly that is something that helps me kind of release and process, it's kept me at a much clearer headspace. So I think that that's part of it. But I also think that, that's something that will continue to happen and will continue to reveal things to me.
That is really awesome. And it sounds to me like it's become a self-care practice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what also is so beautiful about it is that as I seek to uplift these other Black women, I get so excited putting these stories together. When I highlight other Black women for the Pedestal Professional series or for the On the Rise series, where I highlight college students or entrepreneurs, just hearing some of the things that they've done and putting that together and saying, wow, I get to celebrate, another Black woman. And also just in celebrating them, I've built a connection to another woman of support. Whether that means, I can support them, they'll support me. Like I'm building this network inadvertently that I really wasn't trying to, but the Pedestal Project doesn't work without other Black women. And so I'm really excited that that's kind of the way it's almost morphed itself to where, now I'm getting to the point where I have, Black businesses who are excited to sponsor and list their information on my site. Nice. I have women who are starting to share their personal stories for our Amplify series, just to bring voices to that. So my site doesn't work without other Black women, because I couldn't do all of that alone. And so eventually, I'll have a staff, I'm going to speak that into existence. And so that will also be something that, again, it helps. And so also understanding that you have to fortify the pedestal that we talk about. So, and I think that's fortified definitely by other Black women.
I love that. I love that a lot. You are definitely on the move. And again, I just commend you for the work that you're doing. And I look forward to seeing this thing continue to just take over. Definitely. So let me ask you a little bit about, I guess, like where you are in your life. Like, would you even say that you're currently living your best life?
I think so.
So what is that? So what does that mean then? What does it mean to live your best life?
I think what that means is that I am in a space where I have way more blessings than shortcomings. And I'm blessed with the ability to, for one, take care of myself independently. I am single, just in case you have any purpose listeners. No, but seriously, I am in a place where I'm able to take care of myself, but also to give freely, whether it's to a cause or to people that I love. And then I'm also able to do things that I really want to do and that I've always wanted to do. Like I talk about traveling, I travel all the time. And so that's something that I'm blessed because I don't have anything that keeps me from doing that. I'm healthy. Like the little things, I have all of the little things and I'm aware of all of the little things right now. I have a family that loves me. I have best friends and sorors and people who love me dearly and support me fiercely. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it can only get better at this point. So I think that I absolutely am living my best life.
I love that your concept of living the best life is holistic.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think that to live your best life, you have to have a lot of material things or a lot of relational things. But yours is a nice balance. It's a little bit of everything. It's sprinkles. And so that's really beautiful. I like that a lot. So is there a time in your life that you've ever faced any kind of adversity that you want to share with us? And maybe how did you overcome it? Because you really transitioned from, being this person who was trying to figure out what to do with your career to having this light bulb moment during your counseling session that was like, I'm about to do this Pedestal Project thing. So the makings of who you are. But is there that one moment that just really stumped you and that you were just like, yo, not today, Satan?
I think there have been a few moments. I think the one that probably comes to mind that is one of the most impactful and definitely the story that I share with my students is when I failed out of nursing school.
Because you told us you're a registered nurse now.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But there was definitely a setback within that nursing journey. So I was originally supposed to graduate in May of 2011 at Mississippi University for Women. And so the way our program worked, and many nursing programs, I'm sure if people are in nursing school that can relate to this, is that every question, every point, everything counts. And so with the way our program was set up is if you didn't make at least, I want to say it was like a 73.45, it was something like that, for the class average, then you fail. If you fail one course, you fail the semester. And if you fail the semester, you're a year behind. And so if you fail that, once you re-enter after that year, if you fail again, then your nursing dreams are bye-bye.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember I was going into my final exams, ended up missing my final by less than a point. It had to be like, I think it was maybe no more than a point. It was somewhere in that range. And I remember just being devastated. I had never failed anything in my life. I was an honor student. AB student, like everything. I was always the top of the class academically. And so I had never failed. That was something that had never happened to me. And so I remember being so ashamed and shame was probably the biggest thing that I felt. I remember hiding in my room that whole day and just crying and just really feeling like my world was over. Fast forward to the next day, talked to two mentors of mine who kind of had already figured out what had happened, but ended up offering me 2 jobs for the semester that I would be taking out. And I was like, whoa, wait, I didn't even come here for that. Like, it was definitely like okay, God, I see what you're doing. You got a plan somewhere in here kind of moment. And that semester that I was off is where I started to do a lot more Black programming on campus because I had this free time. And it was the happiest semester I had in my college career.
Wow.
And that was the time where I was introduced into student affairs. And so the following fall, I had to re-enter into nursing school, still a light semester because you only have to retake the 1 class. So passed that class, ended up going through and finishing my final semester in spring. But during that time, I started doing like a secret grad school search because I didn't want my nursing professors to sense any weakness, because I in my head, I thought, if you feel like I'm not 100% here, you won't help me finish. You won't help me. And I'm sure that there's a lot of layers behind that could probably be another conversation for another day. But that was my thinking at the time. And so I didn't let anyone know until I had secured a job and until I had been admitted into a graduate program. So once I did that, I ended up passing my final by 1 question. Like, I don't know that I've cried so hard in my life. And I think that the biggest lesson that I always tell people from that is that failure is not final. That's the biggest thing that I tell my students is that, you can have such a stringent plan for your life, even in the midst of when everything is going wrong and everything is completely going against what you had planned, it still works out for good. It always works out for good. And all you have to do is just kind of be still and just try to see what God is trying to do in the midst of what's happening. If you're a spiritual person, I actually am a pretty spiritual person. So I feel like there's meaning in everything, and eventually things work out the way they're supposed to. I don't know if I believed that as firmly then, but I think that experience has definitely taught me that. So I am still a nurse, but I also realized that just because I was doing something academically didn't mean that it was my life purpose.
Oh.
So I was like, duh, I'm almost done with this degree, so it'll be dumb not to finish. But I realized that I didn't have the desire to excel and to be my best at it. So I was like, this is not my calling.
And so at what point, though, did you realize what your calling was?
Oh, it was absolutely the semester that I was out. I met one of my current mentors at a program randomly. I was doing a Black History Month program, and his name is Cedric Gathings, and he was one of my panelists. And he said, you did a really good job with this program. If you ever think about a career in student affairs, give me a call. Now I'm like, sir, clearly you don't know that I'm a nursing major. I was thinking, okay, he's just being nice. He's just saying that, just being cordial. And so I started to apply for nursing externships, which is similar to an internship for summer. And I was getting turned down left and right. And I couldn't understand why. Again, I don't fail. These are things that don't happen to me. So I was like, I don't understand. And I said I needed something to do for the summer. So I give him a call. I said, let me just figure out what is this student affairs stuff. What is it? And I go do an internship with him. At the time, he was in the Center for Student Activities in the Greek Life office at Mississippi State. And so I went there and he said, yeah, you can do an internship with us from May to July. And I'll make sure that you learn everything there is to know about student affairs. And so he gave me a list of people to email. And he was like, set up appointments with them, go meet with them and find out what they do. And I'm like, are you not going to do this for me? Or
I know what I'm doing, right?
So he was like, no, I want you to get the full experience. So I ended up literally having days where I shadowed the dean of students. I sat in on residence director trainings for several days. Any department that had anything to do with student affairs, I was in their office. And by the time I finished that internship, I said, oh my gosh, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Why didn't I know that this existed before? And so then I was nervous about having to go back into nursing school because I knew that my passion really wasn't going to be there, but I knew that I could get through it. So I went into it with the mindset that this is what I have to do in order to get to what I want to do. And because I was like, this is the means to an end, because my degree didn't matter. I just had to have one. So I went through because that was the one that I was closest to finishing, and finished my degree, took my licensure exam, passed everything, and then started my grad school career. I think it was maybe like a month after I got my license as a hall director. And so it wasn't necessarily that I don't like nursing. I didn't love it enough to make it my life. Because I do enjoy health. I still enjoy the nursing knowledge and the skills part, and I still actually use it quite often. But it wasn't enough for me to say, okay, I want to be a nurse practitioner. I want to be the best at it. I want to be at the top. That it just wasn't that for me.
Isn't it crazy though how sometimes in life we do things because it seems practical, because this is the right path, but then that thing that is meant for us won't let us go. Like it'll pull us and be like, aha, gotcha. Because it sounds like that happened to you. You know, when you said,
"I was lucky out of the hood," you know, like that was supposed to be, you know, like, and I would say what's pretty common for where I'm from is that if you are at least skilled in science and math and you're a woman, most likely you're pushed to be a nurse. If you are a man and you're semi-skilled in, you know, math or science, you're pushed to be an engineer. There are very few degrees outside of that you're pushed to go into. So I think that I kind of fell into, oh, you're smart. You can be a nurse, so why not?
That's real. That is so real, especially for those of us who are like first generation, right? And we go to school and it's kind of like, let's be successful, let's be great. And being great is often contingent on how successful we can even be in a career, how much money we can make. Whereas really being successful is about how happy you can be, how content you can be with your life and really enjoying what you do. So I think that's real. It was a bold move to make. Because some people don't want to make that move because there's a lot of fear too, right? Like, how do you go from a nursing degree or from a nursing field where you know going into this job, you're going to make good money to go into education where you know it's going to take a long time to make good money. So it's just,
try explaining that to the neighborhood. I had so many people to this day who still are like, now, why is she not nursing? Why is she not at a hospital? She's not even doing anything with that degree. You know, so, and I'm like, actually, I'm doing quite a lot with it. You just don't see me in scrubs, or you don't see me with the stethoscope hanging around my neck, but that degree is still getting used. So I think it's just always interesting because people have a very one-dimensional way of thinking about career progression, and that's not the path that I feel like I was made for.
Absolutely. So tell us, what's next for you?
So what's next for me with the Pedestal project, I'm really writing this one out to see where it goes. I definitely see more writing, hopefully book writing, and maybe more research in the future on a personal note. I would love to see a podcast and just more events, more enrichment events for Black women out of the Pedestal project, and really just seeing how the platform takes off. I think what I've been trying to do and what I think has been helpful is just to really try to not focus so much on the followers or the likes or the engagement, but really focusing on the content and if it feels true to my mission. And I think that served me well. So I'm trying to just do that. But yeah, just continuing to listen to God and listen to what I feel like he wants me to say. And hope that it lands on the right ears.
That's a word. That's a word right there. That's talking to a friend, another entrepreneur friend earlier, about the same thing. How sometimes when we're in our being, right, and doing what we were called to do, that it takes a little while to build. You have to just lay the foundation and trust that you're laying the right foundation, so that kind of like, he was saying to me, once the house is built, people going to see the house. People don't see the work it takes to build a house, but they're going to see the house. So you keep building your $1 million mansion. You hear me? Because you are, like I'm telling you, like it's catching people. And I've just been watching it from its start. And even in like a month's time, I've seen how much traction it's gotten. And so I'm like, wow, I look forward to seeing what it is next year. So as we're wrapping up, I have one more question for you. And that question is, if there was one thing that you'd like for listeners to walk away with, that one special message, something to chew on, what would that thing be?
I can't take credit for this, but I think that it's something that has really helped me. When things happen in your life that, could very well be tumultuous or upsetting, try really, really hard not to ask yourself why it's happening to you, but what it's doing for you. And I think that has been something that adapting that mindset has been really transformative for me. And it's really helped me understand that my experiences are shaping my purpose and are shaping the life and the legacy that I'm meant to leave. And so try really, really hard to take every experience as a molding factor for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Tekita. You have been wonderful. Tell us how we can find you, where you at, where we need to find you on social media, website. Give us all that.
So the Pedestal Project, the website is pedestalproject.com. It's PEDESTAL project, PROJECT.com. We're also on Facebook, it's Pedestal Project, on Instagram at Pedestal Project. And if you are looking just for me, I'm on Instagram at Tekita Applebaum, just like the song. Well, it's not just like the song, but you get the drift. It's TEKITAAPPLEBUM. So you can definitely find me there. But yeah, and if you are looking for anything else, I can also be emailed, pedestalprojectorg@gmail.com.
So again, thank you. Looking forward to being in touch with you. Again, this has been a great episode, and we will talk soon.